Should you be playing Faceit or Premier Matchmaking? Well, there's no correct answer for everyone, so I thought I'd make a list of the flaws and benefits of each system and help you decide. Let's hop right into it. So what does Premier do good? Well, for one, they have faster queue times. Premier has very fast queue times, usually only a minute or two, but I've gotten into games as fast as 20 seconds. There's also no need for an external program. Premier is just plug and play. You don't have to install and deal with more programs other than just CS. It's also easier to form teams. Continuing off the previous point, easier to get your buddies together on a team because it's just through Counter-Strike. Great for quick pugs. And now switching over to Faceit, what do they do good? Well, one, they have a good anti-cheat. This is most people's biggest reason for switching over to Faceit. They have a significantly better anti-cheat than Valve's VACnet, and while it is still possible for a cheater to slip through, it is pretty rare. I have not seen a blatant hacker in any of my matches, and smurfing is more of the issue here. Rewards, missions, and tournaments. Faceit has some additional content to grind for, however unlikely it is to actually complete. It's nice to have a fun little goal to work towards, as it helps break up the monotony of the rank grind. They also have a better ranking system. Unlike Premier, when someone tells you their Faceit rank, you actually know how good they are. Teams usually have decent rank balance, and they try to limit stomps as much as possible. Metas. Faceit players typically are more serious and knowledgeable about the metas than your regular matchmaking players, and most players will know a couple of nades and basic theory on each map. Overtime. Faceit games do not end till there is a winner, no matter how long that takes. This does help foster a more competitive environment. There's nothing more infuriating than playing for an hour only for the game to end in a tie. You can choose the maps and servers. The last benefit Faceit has over Premier is that you can mostly choose the maps and servers you want to play on. While there is still a voting process, you can filter out the undesirable options. Now for the negatives. What does Premier do bad? Well, first of all, they have a very bad anti-cheat. This one pretty much goes without saying. VAC is an absolute failure, and if you are at even a remotely high rank, you'll have to deal with a bunch of cheaters fairly often. They have a weird elo system. Premier's elo system doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I see a lot of players seemingly randomly gaining and losing anywhere from 100 to 1000 elo per game. I've seen some terrible players at 15k elo and some gods done at 8k. It doesn't make much sense. It's also fairly common for the teams to be extremely unbalanced and have one team's elo rating significantly higher than another's. Bad comms. For whatever reason, Premier players seem to be afraid to use their mics and won't give any callouts. I'm not sure what has changed from CSGO, but casual players do not seem to want to talk as much. Now for Faceit, there is usually some slower queue times. While not terribly slow, Faceit typically has a longer queue time than Premier. This is an issue for some people, but for others, they will gladly sacrifice time for a more balanced game. Faceit is also more toxic. Players on Faceit are much more serious and care about winning a hell of a lot more. So if you're playing badly or not making the right plays, your teammates will flame you. Overtime. Like I mentioned earlier, Faceit games do not end till there's a winner, meaning it can last multiple hours. The longest game I have played lasted about 90 minutes, and by the end of it, I was exhausted. Kernel anti-cheat. This is another point that may bother some people and not others. Faceit's anti-cheat is kernel level, meaning it has access to the deepest levels of your PC, similar to other games like Valorant. Faceit is also paid. While it does have a free version, Faceit's best experience and most of its features, like the missions, are locked behind a subscription-based model. Now that we listed the pros and cons of each, I want to give you my thoughts on which matchmaking system I think you should play. For beginners or casual players, play Premier or even regular comp. Most likely you won't understand the meta or strategy, and unfortunately your teammates on Faceit will be exceedingly toxic towards you. I didn't start playing Faceit until I had around 1400 hours, and I still had a lot to learn after the switch. For more serious or advanced players, you should definitely be playing on Faceit. But you still won't be 100% on the same page as your teammates. You can usually trust them to know some basic util and meta strats. Not to mention at high Premier ranks, it turns into a cheat fest, so if that's happening to you, it's time to switch over. Does this list help you decide which matchmaking system to play on? Let me know down in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this content and want to see more, please consider subscribing. Thanks.